On awesome people, it is Monday, December 13th. What a pleasure to have you guys here today. It's another episode of the Awesome People Instagram live series. If you're not familiar, this is all part of the umbrella brand called Unite and Conquer, with a mission to unite English speaking Persians through impactful conversations, really cool live streaming entertainment, and also in-person events. I have a podcast called the Awesome People Podcast, but in the month of December, I wanted to challenge myself to do 31 days of daily IG lives with the most awesome Persian entrepreneurs, creators, and artists that I have the pleasure of knowing or getting to know. So it's been a great journey so far. I've had some great conversations from people in all different walks of life. And today is no different. This individual today is a certified badass in my book, and I can't wait to introduce her in a few minutes. Before I do that, special announcement that I want to remind everybody that on Wednesday, December 29th, starting 6 p.m. Eastern, it's a 5-hour special edition of Zendegi. If you don't know what Zendegi is, it is our Persian music live stream. It's going to feature DJ Sam, DJ Kia, DJ Yazdan. It's going to be 100% Persian music, celebrating all the great artists and great music that we have in our society and community. So with that in mind, please mark your calendar for Sunday, December 29th. And more information is going to be coming up soon for sure. This week, all the promotion material is going to come out. Also, for those who don't know, I like to do a little 10 seconds of gratitude in the beginning of every episode of Awesome People. So let's start that right now and start counting your blessings. If you like, I'm going to go and do it anyways. Let's go. All right. Thank you so much. And hopefully it allowed you to reset a little bit too. And speaking of reset, my guest today, that's literally what she does. A lot of mindset reprogramming. I'm going to let her explain more in detail what it's all about. But it's really my pleasure to be having Behnoush Babzani. She's a social entrepreneur. She's a certified life coach. She is an author of a book that I actually cannot wait to get my hands on myself. It's called Hold On While I Hang On. It's really a culmination of her memoir of some incredible life challenges that she went through. And she has literally made it her mess become her message. And so I can't wait to introduce her in a few seconds. She should be here. And she is. She's coming from, or joining us from, the Bay Area. So let's welcome together. For sure, it's going to be an interesting conversation. Technology.
Hello.
Hi, Behnoush. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Excellent. I love the yellow. What a nice pop. And you got the Christmas tree in the background too.
Celebration every day. I love that 10 seconds of gratitude. Thank you for doing that. I forgot to do it this morning, so that helped me reset. Thank you.
Honestly, I didn't used to do it all the time, but then with these awesome people Instagram dailies, it's forcing me to remember, because if it wasn't part of my notes, I wouldn't do it. And it's amazing how such a simple moment of just self is so revitalizing. So yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it too. And I'm sure you
I
have your own
did.
meditational tips and tricks, which we'll get to for sure. So I appreciate you joining, and I would love for you, in your own words, to just give a little background about Behnoush Babzani, and so that people kind of become a little more acclimated to who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thank you. So hi everyone live and in the future on the recording. My name is Behnoush Babzani, and I'm located in the Bay Area of California. And I have my little fun family. We live here. I have two little ones and my husband. So all that's what's happening now, but I guess my story and why I'm here to talk to you guys started, my journey and story started when I was at the age of 12, kind of reshaped and redefined my whole path. I heard you say mess to, what did you say? You said mess to message?
Making your mess your message. I know you
That's
have a
so
better
cool.
one. You have crisis into career. I had
I've heard
mess to
crisis
message.
to career, but I haven't heard mess to message. And you know what? It is what it is. I love it.
I
Why
I
not?
I actually heard it from Robin Givens. She had a really, it was in her, I forgot what that program is called, that you pay per year, and then they become like your tutor. For some reason, I forgot what it was called, but it's like a very cool
Okay.
thing where all these experts, they share their stories, and I watched it in that one. And when she said make your mess your message, I really, it gravitated towards it.
Yeah, because we all have a mess, right? We all have a mess, and somehow there's a message in there, wanting to see it. So, mine, I guess, my mess started at the age of 12. I was diagnosed with a pretty rare blood disorder. At the time, there was a team of doctors who hadn't worked on it yet and didn't quite know what it was. And so, what it was that my body wasn't creating any type of cancerous cells. It was that my body wasn't creating any of the essential cells needed for me to survive, right? So, my bone marrow was not working. And they tried several treatments on me, which were proving unsuccessful. And at that point, we were kind of running out of options and turned our attention to someone who said, there's this Persian man, and he's a healer, and he will heal you, which was just, pure comedy for us at that point because we had been in these professional medical establishments, working on me. And sure enough, I started working on him, and they had to scrape my jaw off the floor because it started working. His interventions, his practices, his healing started creating healing in my body, and I was fine. And then fast forward 7 years later, at the age of 19, it actually came back. I started finding myself being really tired, and I was a makeup artist, and I would go run into the bathroom and take a nap, and I had these bruises about this big all over my body. And I knew the signs, I knew what was going on, but I tried to hide it for a while from myself and from others. Basically, this time when the diagnosis came back, they told me that it was critical, and they told me that I had to have a bone marrow transplant. So basically, your immune system is not working. We need to replace it and put something that is working. So I went to Stanford Hospital, and they gave me high dose chemotherapy. And this is why you see me touching my hair a lot. I lost all my hair, but obviously it comes back. And I was in isolation. I was in the hospital for almost 2 months. I was in isolation. And Iman, this might sound so crazy to you, but back in 2004, there was no Instagram. There was no Facebook. There was no Instagram. So I was sitting in isolation in the hospital with just my mind, right? And that's where I learned the value of mindset and, what does the narrative and language that's happening in our heads, and vowed to myself that I was going to make a message out of this mess. And a series of life events happened after that, which you mentioned. I am the author of my book, Hold On While I Hang On. I
Right.
document all this stuff in here.
Which, by the
Yeah,
way,
okay, I'll
sorry,
stop.
sorry
I'll
to
stop.
cut. No, no, but that's
Yeah.
fine. But show the book again. Is that like the depiction of Shiazan? Is that what the message is behind it?
Okay, so you just said something, and I'm going to announce here for the very first time. I haven't told anybody. You ready for this, Iman? I got the book translated into Farsi, and it's called Shirzan Dar Masir Bad. So
That's
that was a good
amazing.
intro. Thank you so much. Yeah, by the famous Shahnusha Parsipour did the translation. So
Love
these two
that.
books are available anywhere books are sold. And this was also a journey. Writing a book, I told myself for years that I'm not a writer, I'm not an author. Who am I to write a book? I had convinced myself of that story. And that was yet another thing I had to overcome and do some mindset reprogramming to get me there. And sure enough, I wrote the book and I got it published and translated into Farsi. So here we
First
are.
of all, one story. I'm gonna go back to everything we're supposed to talk about, but one of your posts recently, I loved how you got so excited that the one author that you had their book on your shelf turns out that he actually had your book on your shelf. And honestly, that's
It's
that's
meant.
one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because you could see the joy and the gratification, and like, just, I don't know, it was just, I felt so happy for you, and I was like, that's
Thank you.
got to be like such an awesome experience to have
Oh
somebody
my
whose
gosh.
book you have on the shelves, now they're talking about your book, and what an honor. That's great, you know?
It's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. And I recommend everyone write a book. Again, we all have a mess. We all have a message. We all have a crisis. I want to read everyone's book. And the fact that, other people, every once in a while, I hear stories that people have read my book, or, cool things like that happen. But writing the book, it took me 5 years to write the book. It was quite a journey. And then 1 month before we were supposed to publish, we hit in this pandemic, and it was no joke. My publisher, I had this whole book tour planned. I was going to go in front of people and I was going to talk, and my publisher said, let's push it out. And, I had to come up with a game plan, and I said, nope, we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. I switched my whole book tour into a podcast tour, and I got to meet amazing people just like you. And I'm so happy the book came out because it was very relatable. We're talking about isolation. We're talking about, mindset work. And 2021, it's time to look out for number one. In 2022, we're going into it too.
Well, would you say that what you experienced at age, I believe, 18 or 19, the isolation that you speak of, would you say that it kind of prepared you a little bit more for the pandemic than what most people did?
Oh my goodness. Since 2004, I've been doing everything that they're talking about. It's, the contact precautions, because they instilled in me that, germs, virus equals death for you. I had no immune system. And so the whole hand washing and mask wearing and all that stuff was just nothing new. But it was definitely that. I think the biggest thing and the heaviest thing for most people has been the isolation, because you don't have other kind of stimulation. We're all used to a certain routine, and that isolation was very familiar for me. So it set me up. I was fine for this. And my 12-year-old diagnosis set me up for my 19 diagnosis. My 19 diagnosis set me up for the pandemic. So I'm set. I'm done.
There's
No
nothing,
more.
there's nothing you can't go through now at this point. So what about the healing, the Persian man that came to the rescue? Explain that process again. Obviously there's a lot of people who probably kind of look at that as just hokey pokey. I don't believe in it, but obviously it worked for you. What exactly was done, and why do you vouch for it so much?
Right. And I think that if it was introduced to me as an older, I think that I would for sure think the hokey pokey at the time. I mean, I was a 12-year-old skeptic, but we had tried treatment after treatment. And my mom, who in fact is the Shirzan, this isn't me, this is my mom. You'll read the book, you'll understand. But,
Yeah.
she wasn't going to give up. When someone says your child, there's nothing else we can do, she says, no way, there is. And we found out that there was this man, Behnoush Babzani, who he himself had had leukemia, and he was healed by a master healer, and now he's a healer. So I'm like, okay. So we went to see him, and he asked that we stop, most treatment. At that time, I was getting blood transfusions almost daily. My blood counts were very low, and so I maintained that. But he introduced me to healing, to visualization. I don't know if you've heard of visualization, mindfulness practices, these things that from the age of 12 have carried me through so many, just traumatic life events since then. But I was able to, heal from that. And so he sent me a level of energy when I would work with him, and he had me visualize certain things at the same time. And I detail it all in my book. But after every session, it took about a couple months for my body to respond and to be open to it. And after each session, I would go and get a blood test. And sure enough, my counts were going higher and higher and higher, leaving that critical stage, entering low, and then getting higher and higher and higher and higher, to the point where the doctors just, you're healed. There you are. And so that was very just bizarre to us. I mean, I can't explain it. There's no, there's no quite, besides we saw the data. We saw that this was happening, this was working. Throughout my life, again, there was other instances that Western medicine, and I obviously believe in Western medicine, I go to it, that's the thing, but sometimes there's something a little extra that is unexplainable, phenomenal, and truly works. And I've had to, when Western medicine wasn't quite working, I would turn to him throughout my life. It wasn't just these huge things, I mean, smaller things too. So.
And that was, what exactly is that called? That practice, or that area of focus, what is that called?
Shafa Healing.
Shafa
Shafa.
Healing. And so
Yeah.
when you were, so it's actually like a Persian, I mean, I know it was a Persian gentleman who did it, but like he actually like created this from his, like it's a Persian thing?
So he was healed by a master healer, Master Parvarande. I don't know. I think some people know it. Apparently he's famous. I didn't know that. So I'm just, again, 12-year-old girl not knowing this. But he was
Okay.
from in Iran, and then he came and studied under that master. And they had their own techniques. And some of them, I think they say when you experience death, and I've said this several times, that I only learned how to live when they told me I was going to die. That was the point that it clicked. And so when you hit a certain level of the fearlessness of death, and it's just the only option is healing, you become very receptive into this stuff. So,
and so at the time when you were doing the Shafa Healing, like you literally had nothing else going on treatment-wise, so you're able to really confirm that it was this and only this that caused for you to basically get back to a higher level of health?
so I was about a few months out of treatment, and so they had said it would have worked by now, but at that point they wanted to send me to a bone marrow transplant. And this is in 1996. 1996, bone marrow transplants were not as advanced as they are today. They weren't. And a lot of people we had personally known had passed away from them. So it was, the options were very minimal. And the only thing that I was doing is getting blood transfusions. And so, yeah, the proof was in. We'd have a session, a healing session, a blood test, counts go up. A healing session, a blood test, And even like I said, the events afterwards, I had a really bad, me and my husband were in a really bad car accident, and I had vertigo for 4 months. And they were like doing everything in their power to get this vertigo to go, and it didn't work. And one session with Donna juice, right? So 4 months of traditional, therapies weren't working, but one session, that was it.
Well, I'm especially curious about all this just because my father has had AML, leukemia, for 5 years now. And so this whole concept of, doing lab results, test results, checking the levels, it's dropping, it's, getting blood transfusions is something that's very near and dear to my family. And so like, I need to figure this one out and see if I can get my father involved in this, because obviously it's worked for you. And, sometimes when there's no other options, you want to be able to try different things, and hopefully miracles happen like they did for you.
Right. And Imanjan, it was a lifestyle change. It wasn't just I would go to healing and come home and then have McDonald's and I was fine. Right. So we were committed. He even told us to the point where we had to change our language. We had to change our thoughts. We were committed to healing. And we even had to change our access to people. So in the Iranian culture, if something is wrong with someone, they say, oh, hevuni, like hevuni, right? Badbacht. And so we offer them sympathy, which takes away that person's power. It really puts them in that victim category, which in fact they're not. They're just not. And I say this all the time. When you're going through something like a sickness, a car accident, you're the strongest you're going to be than just a regular Tuesday sipping coffee on your couch, right? You're gathering and pulling all the energy that you need. So we had to pull back from the people who were giving us sympathy, who did have that negative and like toxic energy that they were giving us, because they deemed me, she's dead, she's gone, let's just say our goodbyes. And we had to detach from that. So it was changing our community, it was changing our mindset, and along with the healing.
Amazing. Yeah, I absolutely love it. So why don't we go ahead and start talking about this whole mindset reprogramming that truly altered your life in the most positive way possible. Explain the process and how you kind of turned that into your career eventually.
Right. So there was a series of events after I got healed from the whole aplastic anemia, and after the bone marrow transplant, there was a series of other medical issues that popped up. And then after the car accident, which was CHP officer who came to the scene said, there's no way anybody is alive in this car, which thankfully me and my husband survived. And I called Donna Dust and I was like, okay, hey, just one more time. Can you heal me one more time? Like, can you just, and so of course, he's my new insurance plan and stuff. So he said, well, what are you doing to position yourself for this? Right. That really shook me, Iman. That shook me because I said, who in the right mind would position themselves for something so horrible to happen? And so now he calls it positioning. I think other people might call it attraction, law of attraction. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Or manifesting, right? This is something that we attract.
Robert Greene definitely had a great book about that one.
So Donna just calls it positioning. Okay, good. You have to tell me the name of the book later. But basically, what he's saying is you attracted this chaos to yourself for a certain reason. And I was very defensive and very upset when he first told me that. And I had to go and kind of do some reflecting. But when I did, and I looked back at the different things, I did understand what he was talking about. And I did see what my role was in it, which is very hard to see. It's very hard to see why, someone would not willingly, really unconsciously bring this to themselves. So if I said to myself, I said, if I can attract these terrible life events to happen, then I can attract really amazing things to happen too, right? That has to be, right? If we have that superpower, then what can I do? So after my sickness, I started getting invited to talk to medical schools, dental schools, nursing schools, programs and companies about, healing and motivation. And then I realized that this message can be cleared, more organized, cleared up. And I started to go into the coaching world. And I became a certified professional life coach. And I started doing continuous trainings and certification to understand how our minds work. First, we need to understand how it's working, right? Right now we're living in the world of positive psychology. Everyone wants to think positive and be positive. Mm-hmm. But we can't do that until we understand what the problem is. So I always tell everyone my favorite Albert Einstein quote. Have you heard that one? It says, Albert Einstein, we've identified him as a genius, right? Everyone says this is why I bring up his quote. He's identified as a genius, and he says that if I have 1 hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes on the problem and only 5 minutes on the solution. So we are so interested in healing ourselves. We're so interested in positive mindsets and being positive that we just want to shove the positive in and not identify with what's going on, right? What the problem is. And through these practices, including what you just did in the beginning of the show, which is mindfulness practices, we can get the clarity to do that. So my programs, I have stress management programs and group programs that I do, and they're called Clarity. And so we create a space in our mind to get this new information. Sorry, I'm talking really fast. Do you have any questions?
No, I'm all ears. I'm a fast talker too, so I can totally relate.
I know, I just want to slow it down. But so if we have an emotion, and you commented, you saw one of my videos, the emotional freedom technique, right? We have an emotion that is the response to the thoughts that we're thinking. We have a thought, we are constantly have a narrative in our head, right? So when you're driving your car, you're thinking, right? You're constantly thinking about something. You're taking a shower, you're thinking, you might be cooking food, you're thinking. You have this narrative and this language in our head, and it's either serving you and it's thriving, or it's toxic and there's negative thoughts. I don't believe in negative emotions, but there's negative thoughts in there that trigger emotions, and that's what we need to kind of break free from if it's not serving us.
Mm-hmm. And then so like when you do catch yourself with negative thoughts, I mean, I feel like we're human beings, we're scared, we have, things going on. How do you catch yourself from these negative feelings and I guess kind of switch the attention to positive? Is that how it works?
Replace, absolutely. Catch, that's the very first step, which is catching it. And that's the hard part. Remember, we're talking about identifying the problem before going into the solution. So a lot of people say, I don't have a problem. I'm fine. And then we now know the direct relationship between stress and physical health. We know that there's studies that prove it, that it's directly related. This is affecting this and this is affecting this. And we feel that, we understand that. Unfortunately, we're finding it out a little bit too late until it manifests in the body. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So doing mindfulness practices, and I have one-on-one coaching with my clients, depending on, what their triggers are. And we have group programs as well. And we basically understand how your mindset is working, what is happening right now, and how to catch it. Okay. And your big thing that John Juice taught me is mindfulness practices, right? One of the biggest ones that you just did was vitamin F. Oh my God, vitamin F, gratitude. I'm going to bring up vitamin F. Gratitude checks, right? And so gratitude, when you experience gratitude, you're aware of what's going on around you, so you can capture them, bring them in, and be grateful for them and welcome more, right? But other things that you can do for that, and I just said vitamin F, is vitamin F. Do you know what vitamin F is?
No.
It's a critical supplement, and it's vitamin F, friends and family, right? So how many times, if you're going through something and you might be stressed, you might be upset, and you quickly pick up the phone, you just naturally don't think about it. You call someone or you go to someone and you feel better. You just feel better. It's just so soothing. They've done so many studies on this that Harvard University, we know them, again, we're talking about intellectuals. Harvard University did a study, 75-year-long study, to find out what brings people happiness. Do you know what they found out? And the result?
Uh,
I paused there.
yeah, I was like,
After
what?
75 years, they followed these people, and some of them became, very successful professionals. Some of them became homeless. Some of them became drug addicted, substance abusers. They all ranged, but what they found out
I
brought
want to
these
guess
people.
feeling of belonging.
Who gives you that feeling?
I mean, your loved ones, people around you that support you, I guess.
Your vitamin F. Meaningful relationships was the number one reason for
Yeah,
their happiness.
yeah,
Meaningful relationships. Doesn't matter how
yeah.
many you have or what's going on there, but having these relationships, and it's work, nourishing them and nurturing them and learning from them and having these aha moments from them, right? That's what it was. That's ultimately what it was. So mindfulness practices including try to get a vitamin F dose every day. You're my new dose. Thank you for my daily dose. Right? Gratitude checks and meditation. There's so many different types of meditations and so many tools right now that are available, and I have two little kids, and my little kids are meditating. My oldest is sitting there. She even does the tapping, and she memorized it all.
I actually saw one of the videos by you guys on the lake, and what a beautiful moment it is to see children learning that mindfulness at such an early age. So they should be very lucky to have a mom like you that's guiding them in the
Thank
right
you.
direction. So speaking of mindfulness, I know you have the emotional freedom technique, which is one of the tapping acupuncture style movements, and I know that you wanted to kind of, well, I asked you to kind of perform it if you don't mind. So can you kind of, is this a good time for you to share this little technique?
Is it a good time for you? Yeah, I'm going to do it for you, with you.
Yeah, let's do it, please.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, so yes, this is called emotional freedom technique, and that's just the way it sounds. There's an emotion that's not serving us, okay? And typically right now, this time of year, that emotion might be stress. So, Iman, can you think about an emotion right now that's overwhelming to you that may not be serving you right now?
I can think of multiple. I got one.
Which one do you want to do you want to share one?
Well, I mean, basically this right here, not this particular episode, but like I decided to, put myself in some kind of crazy challenge in December of doing, one Awesome People Instagram live every single day, and I'm loving every conversation. But to make it all happen behind the scene, it's been a very emotionally draining experience to the point where I was going to tell everybody that I'm going to take a mental health day in the middle, but I'm still kind of like chugging through it. So I'm like actively like working through it because I just don't want to like I'm very OCD and I don't want to mess up the flow and just kind of like end it. So I would say this whole IG live series has been an emotional roller coaster, and it's been heavy on me, but I'm chugging through it.
Okay. So is it, I remember, I don't know if it was just right now or before you said it was a little bit overwhelming, right? Is that the feeling that you feel? Okay. So today, currently, as you sit in front of me, if you had to gauge how overwhelming it was, 0 is like, meh, I'm not worried about it, or 10, this is like, I need a mental health day immediately. Where would you gauge yourself being right now?
If I were to be honest, I would give it an 8.
Okay. All right. That's high. So are you welcoming and committed to bringing that number a little bit lower if you can?
I love the way you asked that. I am welcoming to lower it. I am desiring, requesting for it to go lower.
Okay. Okay, good. So just be still. If you have anything in your hand, just drop it. And the same thing that we did when you started with your eyes closed and took a deep breath. So anyone who's following this, do the same thing. If you have an emotion that you're feeling, go ahead and gauge it, be with it, and identify a number to it, how intense that is, okay? And this is going along with everything that we talked about today. Instead of immediately going into the solution and immediately going into fixing it, we need to understand what the problem is. So I want you to fully and completely be with this emotion. When you feel this emotion, what is happening to your mind? When you feel this overwhelming, what is happening to your body? Where are you storing this stress? Just be really aware of your body. If you can, take in a deep breath in from your nose and blow out from your mouth and let it go. Can you nod to me if you're not frozen?
I'm good right now. Actually, that's what I paused because I saw the audio go away. Can
We're
you hear me now?
frozen.
It's coming back. I can hear you. See, even the phone went into a state of calmness. Okay, I think we're back. Can you hear me? Are you connected to Wi-Fi? I'm connected to Wi-Fi.
Uh-oh. You're
Hold on.
frozen.
Wait a second. Hold on. Can you go off of Wi-Fi? Maybe I think. Okay, there we go. All right, I got. See, I was saying I think that even my phone went into a state of calmness. That's what happened.
Even the Wi-Fi wanted to relax. Oh my goodness. Okay, well
But
that's
but
a first.
I'll get back into the setting. Okay, here we go. I'm
Can you?
replicating.
Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Just re-access that peaceful place. Go ahead and close your eyes. Taking a deep breath, inhale from your nose. And then when you let go and exhale, try to blow it out. Try to blow like you're blowing out a birthday candle and you just want everything out and you want to release it. Just be in agreement to let go. Identifying that emotion, that overwhelming, what's happening to your body, what's happening to your mind. Okay, slow it down. Just do a little body wiggle. Open your eyes and bring your attention back to me. Okay. So there's certain tapping points that we're going to tap through. And typically with my private clients, we have very specific words that we use. I'm going to do some general ones with you, and we're going to work together. But the first place is called the karate chop. So go ahead. It doesn't matter what side of the body you do it on. We have equal points. And I think that I didn't give much of a backstory, but the emotional freedom technique tapping basically runs on meridian points. It's the same pressure point similar to if you do acupuncture and they put the needles in the points. But in this case, we're actually just tapping. And so it's psychological acupressure. This is basically what we're doing. So just repeat after me if you can, okay, Iman?
Hmm.
Even though I feel overwhelmed,
Even though I feel overwhelmed,
I fully and completely accept myself.
I fully and completely accept myself.
Even though I feel like I took on too much,
Even though I feel like I took on too much,
I fully and completely love myself.
I fully and completely love myself.
The next point is right here where the eyebrow meets the bone. Overwhelmed.
Do I repeat that?
Repeat, say
Sorry.
over.
I'm
Yeah,
so sorry. Overwhelmed.
you're too alive. Okay. Now where this little edge right here, the bone hits the socket, go ahead and tap that. Stressed out.
Stressed out.
Right here where the eyebrow, no, same thing, socket. Too much.
Too much.
Right on where the bridge of that lip part. I need a mental health day.
I need a mental health day.
This is overwhelming.
This is overwhelming.
Right where the collarbone meets, there's a little ball right there on that collarbone. Go ahead and tap that. This stress is safe.
This stress is safe.
Ladies, where your bra line might be, and you right here under the arm. I'm doing my best.
I'm doing my best.
Right at the top of the head, not in the back, not in the front. There's gonna be a little, I guess Farsi say malo. Is maloj a bad word? Is it good? Right here.
I've never even heard of it.
Oh my God. Okay, tap there. I have stress, but I am safe.
I have some stress, but I am safe.
Okay, so this time silently, we're just going to run through it. but put a little extra something in your tap, okay? Give it a little bit of extra
یه
stili, if you
کتک
will.
یه کتک
Yes,
حسابی.
stili. Yeah. And just be in the moment and let go of any judgment of yourself, any judgment of anything else, any expectations. Just let them go. I'm I'm relaxed. Now completely pause, close your eyes, and take in a deep breath. In from your nose, hold it for 2 seconds and blow, blow, blow. Let it go. And just note for a moment if your body feels anything. Some people experience a vibration, some movement. Some thoughts might be popping up, some emotions might be popping up. Just be with it for just a moment. Take in one more deep breath, inhaling from the nose, holding it for 2 seconds, and blow and release for the count of 8 if you can. Really let go. Let it go. Okay, come back to me. Okay, so think about that overwhelming feeling. And if you can identify a number to that right now, in this moment, what would you assign a number to it now?
I generally can say that there's a major droppage, and I would say like a 2-3.
Whoa, okay. That's a big drop. I usually get a drop, but that's a big drop. And this is your first exposure. So
Yeah.
talk to me. Do you have any feelings? Did anything come up? Anything
Well,
you want to know?
so from a physical standpoint, originally when I was just kind of quiet and thinking in that meditative state, I generally felt just a lot of pressure on my shoulders, like I could feel it. And when I was done with it, it was no longer there, and it was actually tingling like in the bottom of my hands. So I just felt like it has kind of dropped. So that in and by itself, I dropped a couple points physically, and then just mentally, I was like, you know what, if I have to skip a day, it's not the end of the world. Like if I can do it, great. If I can't, it's all good. So I kind of just, I don't know. I definitely feel a lot of pressure was relieved from me physically and just mentally. So I think a 2 or 3 is very deserving.
That's amazing. Isn't it rightfully named emotional freedom technique, right? So we have this
Yes.
emotion, it's on repeat, and we try to tell ourselves, oh, I'm not stressed out. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. We say it over and over. But the reality is, it's okay to be stressed out. It happens all the time. And the more
Yeah.
that we ignore it, it's going to collect interest and it's going to get bigger and it's going to start showing up on our body. And so it's okay. Talk about that thing that stresses you out. Think about that thing that stresses you out. The issue isn't when you think about it or talk about it. The issue is how long you remain there, right?
Hmm.
That's why there's no negative emotion. An emotion comes up. It's natural, so it's not negative. How long you stay there and ruminate and let it just magnify in your body, that's the issue. And so we have these mindfulness practices that we do. This is what meditation does. It clears space for all these solutions. We spend 55 minutes on the problem. Let's think about the problem. Let's, identify it. And the solutions are going to rush through. It's amazing. That's why I love what I do. I love creating moments for people and giving them tools because I use them in very critical parts of my life. I mean, some of the most painful things I can even, some might not even be able to imagine, I overcame. And I'm so grateful that I was able to meet Donna Douce at such a young age and introduce me and prepare me for the mess that became my message.
I mean, you're doing a
Yeah,
beautiful job of sharing your message and really empowering other people. And I'm so glad that I stumbled upon your page and what you're doing. And I can't wait to continue to digest all the great stuff that you're putting out into the universe. So I appreciate you very much. And I hope that,
thank you.
I wish I had more time to continue doing this, not just for me, but I know this kind of stuff is very helpful to everybody watching. We all go through so many of life's challenges, and to come across somebody that can help alleviate some of that pressure, it's priceless in value. So I appreciate you giving like a mini crash course of what you do. And I know that there's
It
so
was a
much
mini one.
more. Yeah, and I know there's a lot more to your practice. And so how can they find out more about you? Where do they go to learn more about the service that you offer?
Absolutely, yes. So behnoushbabzani.com, Behnoush Babzani on Instagram. My link tree has all the services that I have. I do one-on-one coaching. I have group coaching. I have, the holidays are coming up. People are buying the book for their friends. It's a story of overcoming, which we all have. Call me if you want me to help you write a book. The Farsi version is out. I also have a clarity journal. It's a daily journal that you can do entries, which bring mindfulness practices.
Love it.
Excuse me, reminding us to do our vitamin F, do our gratitude checks, all these things. So I am here should you need me.
Excellent. So before I let you go, if there's one takeaway, one thing that like, if you only have a chance to share your life's lessons and in 1 minute, give something of value, what would you give?
I think, yeah, I brought it up earlier with that you do play a role in what you attract. You do play a role in what you're positioning. So use your mind very wisely. It is your superpower. It is something that you can attract things. So switch the gear, change the language. And the heavy thing, and I have other shows about this, is the stories that we tell ourselves, what we can do, what we can't do. Catch those stories and change the narrative for them to serve you, because you can do it. You definitely can do it.
I love it. The mind is beautiful, so we should make the best of it for sure. Well, I appreciate you, Behnoush, and I wish you all the best, and like very proud
Thank
of you
you.
for the journey that you've gone through, and you've come out stronger, better, wiser, and now using all that experience to make the world a better place. So appreciate you very much. Good luck on the book, and I can't wait to get a copy and read it and enjoy it myself.
Thank you. Thank you. Good luck for these next 31 days. If you need any tapping or
Thank you.
anything to sustain you, let me know, okay?
I definitely will. Take care, Aziz.
Thank
Khodafez.
you.
Bye
All
bye.
right. Bye.
All right, and so for everybody else, I'm very grateful for you guys dropping in and joining us for today's episode. We are doing 31 of these this month. So tomorrow I have a special guest. It's Nikki Emadi from Bethesda, Maryland, from my hometown area. I've actually known her for quite a long time, and she's a therapeutic coach. So we're going to kind of stick to the mental health topic, just because I think it's such an important reminder every day to just kind of spend time on here and on here, because if you don't have these things set right, then it's hard to kind of get everything else situated. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you again for Behnoush for joining us. And don't forget, December 29th, it's a 5-hour special edition of Zendegi featuring DJ Kia, DJ Yaza, and DJ Sam. Nothing but 100% Persian music that I think that you guys will enjoy. And I'll have a couple of special announcements announcing at that Zendegi edition starting 6 p.m. Eastern time. So follow Let's Unite and Conquer on Instagram, please. Link is in the bio to also subscribe to the YouTube channel. My goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers. And so if you can help us get there, we would appreciate it. If you like the content, click the subscribe, share it with your friends, and hopefully see you soon. Tomorrow, Nikki and Mahdi, 6 p.m. Eastern, right over here on IG Live. Thank you. Much love. Bye.